Welcome to the Purple Party known as Purple Nerd Channel, home for all those who geek out on all things Prince related. The Rainbow Children was released on October 16, 2001 as an exclusive download through Prince's MPG Music Club website before being released nationwide on November 20th, 2001, independently through MPG Records and Redline. The album peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Independent Album Charts, number 33 on the R&B charts, and randomly number 17 in Japan. Singles were released for She Loves Me for Me, which made it to number 31 on the R&B charts, The Work Part 1, which was only available on CD via Prince's MPG Music Club website, and Last December, which was only released in Japan. When combining the downloads of the album from the MPG Music Club website and the sales of the physical retail release, this album actually sold over 500,000 copies independently. No videos were released for this project, but Prince was working on a documentary for this project with director Kevin Smith, based around a couple of listening sessions with fans at Paisley Park and discussing the album with Prince. Although rumored to be completed, the project has never been released outside of a few clips that were used in commercials to advertise the release of this album. This would be the first album credited under the name Prince, since Prince had changed his name back to Prince. As with the announcement of his name change, he also made an announcement that he now was a Jehovah's Witness, and because of his new spiritual beliefs, he would no longer be using swear words, and would no longer perform any of his more risque songs live anymore. Prince had planned on releasing an album called High, but canceled it to start working on this project. And of course, I did a video about that canceled album, and I will have a link to that video at the end of this video. Aside from the name change and the new spiritual focus on his recording material, this album also brought out a new sound from Prince. Although we have heard him dabble in jazz before, on this project, he was very much hyper-focused on exploring all the different elements of the genre. But never before had Prince created a musical work that sounds so purposeful, pristine, and precise. This album is a concept album telling the story of a character called the Wise One as he battles with the Banished Ones. I will break down this story as we go through each track. Now then, all of the deciphering and translations of this narrative are from my own research, so therefore they can be taken as my own opinion, which means that my interpretation may differ from yours. So let's jump into the storyline of the Rainbow Children. We open up with the title track. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Real quick, before we get into the tracks of this album, due to YouTube's community guidelines, there are a couple songs, actually just 2 songs, that because of the controversial subject matter are violations. So you will see portions of this video censored. But to make up for that, you can go to my Patreon page and watch this entire video uncut, uncensored. Like all my videos are on my Patreon page. But again, to say I'm sorry for having to deal with this, it will be free to everybody, be free to the public, so you don't have to have a subscription to Patreon or to my Patreon page to watch it. It will be free to the public. So just go to the link down in the description below for my Patreon page, and it'll be the top video on there. So sorry for this random announcement, but enjoy the rest of the video.
Like the sun, the rainbow children rise.
This 10-minute track serves as an introduction to the storyline of this album, as the narrator, performed by Prince with an altered voice via a pitch shift technique, tells the story of the Wise One, who knew the law of the one true God and has offered this truth and knowledge to his wife, entrusting her to teach this wisdom to their children. But she was tempted by the resistor and has fallen away from the law of the one true God. Due to this crime against the Wise One, she and her 5 followers have been banished from the Rainbow Children. The Wise One is not saddened though, as he knows that his God will find him a new queen. Next is Muse to the Pharaoh.
She could be used to the
The story continues with the wise one showing great attention to his muse, and starts to question if it's possible that she could be his next queen, as he focuses on the words of Proverbs 31 verse 10, which speaks of the value of having a wife. The wise one has a deep conversation with his muse, investigating and testing her intentions, while relying on scripture pertaining to the devil in disguise to guide him. A large portion of the scriptures that he is studying comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 2 through 11. Then the song takes a brief break from the storyline as Prince unexpectedly starts a debate comparing the horrors of the and the horrors of with the controversial question of, would you rather die or be sold? Next is Digital Garden.
And they built a digital garden.
As we return back to the story, the banished ones have built a digital garden around the palace to overthrow the wise one and the rainbow children, using lies and vulgarity to persuade them to leave, which the wise one agrees to, but seals the banished one's fate by tricking them into signing an invisible deed. So after leaving the palace, the wise one and the rainbow children entered the digital garden to begin the work. Next is the work part 1. So let's pause for a moment, because in case you haven't figured out the code yet, the wise one is Prince, the resistor is the devil, the palace is Paisley Park, his first queen is Maite, his muse is Manuela, the one true God is the God that Noah worshipped, and speaking of Noah, the rainbow children are the descendants of Noah, as after God flooded the world, he promised that he would never do that ever again, and promised Noah's descendants, sealing that covenant with the rainbow seen across the sky, making the banished ones the ones who do not follow the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses. The digital garden is the current world we live in, a world obsessed with social media, and the work is spreading the good news of heaven, which for the members of the Jehovah's Witness faith literally means going door to door, handing out the Watchtower pamphlets, and reading from the New Translation, which is what this song is about. Next is Everywhere. The story continues with the wise one feeling even closer to his God, more than ever before, as he sees God everywhere and in everything, with all the work that he and the rainbow children have been doing. And he is starting to fall for his muse. Next is the sensual Ever After. Primarily an instrumental, we get a very short narrative confirming our previous assumption that the wise one is indeed falling for his muse, as he has realized that she is the woman he asked his God to send to him. Next is Mellow.
Mellow, mellow.
Knowing that they are compatible spiritually, the wise one takes his muse on a date to inquire about their sexual compatibility, which he does with some erotic wordplay. Next is 1 + 1 + 1 is 3.
No room for disagree. 1 + 1 + 1 is 3.
Affirming his feelings for his muse, the wise one must check off one more requirement from his list, and explains to her that in order to have a relationship with him, you must follow a theocratic order, meaning that in importance, the order is God, me, and then you, and further explains to her that disagreeing with this order is a deal breaker. Next is deconstruction. Due to the tireless efforts of the rainbow children, the digital garden has fallen, and deconstruction has begun, with the wise one celebrating by asking his muse to be his queen. Next is Wedding Feast.
A feast.
A feast, a feast, a smorgasbord at least.
This hilarious short piece of music is a celebration of the wedding of the wise one and his muse, who is now queen of the palace. Next is She Loves Me for Me.
Just three, 'cause this one, she loves me for me.
So a real quick pause to translate exactly where we are in the story versus reality. Prince has left and divorced Maite, and all who do not follow the laws of the Jehovah's Witness faith have been released from Paisley Park. These abrupt changes have led to media outlets spreading wild rumors and lies about Prince, tarnishing his reputation and his name. In this fallout, Prince falls in love with Manuela, the two of them growing closer together after working several charity events together. Prince signs a one-off deal with a major record company to get more assistance in promoting his next independent project, which is this album, while Prince goes door to door, seriously, preaching the good news of heaven. During this spiritual growth, Prince marries Manuela, and with his newfound faith and new wife, the combination has him feeling closer to God than ever before in his life. Which brings us to She Loves Me for Me, which has the wise one / Prince glowing as he is so happy and blessed to be with someone he doesn't have to impress and only has to be himself. Next is Family Name.
What you mad about? But you still got your family name.
We pause the story for this song as Prince takes us through the lies of American history, the destruction of the African American family structure, and even touches on false prophets and preachers, specifically televangelists who try to sell salvation. In the song's chorus, he picks back up on his previous commentary from the song Muse to the Pharaoh, comparing the plight of as he questions the by stating, at least you still have your family name, as due to the were separated from their family members and then given the last name, erasing their family's true origins. Next is the Everlasting Now.
Accurate knowledge of Christ and the Father will bring the everlasting now. Join the party.
With the storyline still on pause, Prince addresses the audience with a message, preaching that true riches and success is within knowledge of the one true God. As with this knowledge, you prepare yourself for heaven. Towards the end of the song, the storyline unpauses as the wise one returns with the final closing message for the story. And that message being that all who put Christ first will benefit the most. We close out with The Last December. This song has Prince asking the tough question, and that is, if you died today, right now, would you go to heaven? The Rainbow Children Part 2 was scheduled to be released in 2004, with artwork even being commissioned, but the project was canceled. With the exception of the song The Work Part 2, no other songs were confirmed for this project. As far as this album, it has been called a commercial for the Jehovah's Witness faith, with Prince making his newfound faith a point and basis of the narrative. Prince had discovered his new faith through legendary bassist Larry Graham, who Prince met through their mutual friend comedian Sinbad. After a 2-year discussion with Larry, Prince converted in 2001 and remained in this faith until his passing. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Please like and share this video, and if you have a moment, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. It really does help this channel grow. And of course, if you don't mind, go ahead and check out my Patreon page. I will have a link to that in the description down below. And being that I discussed this controversial album, I might as well and go ahead and continue the controversy and talk about someone that is, I would say, technically a Purple family member, but us Prince fans are not allowed to talk about this person or have any admiration for this person. So I will talk about that person and the particular album on the next episode. And until that next episode, I wish you heaven.